Hey, music lovers, Sara J here. Looking for an inclusive space where you can connect with fellow fans, deep dive into your favorite music, and be a part of something special? Well, look no further. Join us on Patreon, where music and community come together. Get exclusive content, behind the scenes access, and a place to geek out over the artists you love, plus explore music you haven't heard yet. Come hang out with us. Patreon.com/DATC Media Company. That's patreon.com/DATC Media Company. See you there. A member of the DATC Media family. It's funny, I just saw your email and it made me laugh because my daughter is a freshman and I asked her what her plans were because I was kind of trying to head off any sort of similar situation. Was like, I have an interview, so if you're going to the football game or anything, somebody else has got to do some rides.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, we live probably 20 minutes from where all the action is. So it's not
Okay.
like they can ride their bikes or whatever. It's too far. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm kind of more out in the country. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. How
And
old is your son?
son is 14, daughter's 16.
Okay. So
Yeah,
yeah.
and yours?
My daughter's 14 and my son is 11. So,
Okay. All right.
yeah. So,
Well,
kind of sort of like the same age range doing the thing. So,
yeah, but at 16, they're going to well, they're both going to parties now, but I still
yeah.
don't think they're getting into the shenanigans I was at my age anyway, so that's good.
You know what? They just really are not. They
Yeah.
just really are not. And I don't know if that's a blessing or a curse because there's some of those moments in my past that were really kind of good moments, actually. You know what I mean? Like you look back on them and you're like, yeah, those are kind of like some really great memories to have. And then you're like, but then there's some moments, you're just like, yeah.
Yeah. The
So
ones
you're
that
not sure if it's a blessing or a curse.
No, I think at least in my case, it's probably better. Yeah, that
Yeah,
everything. Yeah.
yeah, for
So where
sure.
are you right now? You're in Buffalo, is that right?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm in like the suburbs of Buffalo. I'm like a little south of the city. I'm in Lancaster is actually like would be the mailing address, but it's Buffalo. The
Okay.
city's like 20 minutes from me. So, my mom, who was at the event, she lives in Niagara Falls, and I graduated from Niagara Falls High School. So, um, really close to the border and always hopping over for some of those shenanigans, actually, because
Yeah.
you just walk right over the Rainbow Bridge and do all sorts
Yeah,
of
no
things
kidding.
because you could
Yep.
drink at 19 there. So,
Yeah, that's right. I grew up on a border town as well, Sarnia and
oh,
Port
yeah.
Huron, Michigan.
Yep.
Yeah, so
Yep.
we would go over to Detroit quite a bit for concerts. So I know that border town feeling for sure. And then I lived in Toronto for almost 25 years, so Buffalo was one of the spots where we go see concerts. Same with Cleveland. We go to Cleveland as well.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, for sure. Well, and
none of
that's
that's
just
too
been the
far.
wonderful thing with, meeting Jamie and doing all these things with him and now, forming a friendship and everything. It's so easy for us to, you know, get back and forth
Yep.
to each other. I've gotten the drive down to under 2 hours now. I'm really proud of
Oh
myself how
wow,
I'm able
yeah, good for
to
you.
just shoot up in
You-
there and do my
But
thing.
that gardener's a nightmare though, isn't it?
That's the only time I need my GPS now,
Ugh.
actually. It's funny. I can just drive right there and then I get to that and I'm just like, "Ugh." But I was
Ugh.
in town on Tuesday for Steve Hackett at Massey Hall, and it was actually the best traffic I've ever dealt with so far. And I was just like rejoicing about it. I'm like, this is amazing. I should come on a Tuesday night more often.
Yeah, Mondays and Tuesdays are probably the best traffic in Toronto.
Yeah, it
Otherwise,
was
it's a
amazing.
nightmare every other day.
It was
Yeah.
amazing. I was like, oh, I could get spoiled by this. I'm only coming on Tuesdays from now on, but it was great. It
Hmm.
was a nice little like quick jet up and jet back. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's a
Yeah,
great
that's
time.
good.
Yeah.
Right on.
Well,
So tell me, okay, okay, you go ahead.
no, no, no. You go ahead.
Well, I was going to ask because I still don't know a ton about you except what Jeff and JD have told me. So tell me some things
Oh,
about you.
goodness, what have they told you about me?
Well, they were telling me your connection to loving the Tragically Hip, and they'd mentioned jam bands, and so I thought, oh, you and I probably have some things in common at some point here. Like there's probably some, you know,
Definitely
parallels
a
or
lot of
direct links.
For sure, a lot of congruency. Well, that was something that I was really especially excited to talk to you about, um, because anybody who would listen, me say that I was gonna chat with you tonight would have to hear me say it. And that was one of the main things that I kept bringing up was I think I'm going to have an advantage because I've spent so much time inside of the jam band world and the community and just around the bands and my own time on tour with bands. And I followed Mo around a lot and I saw a lot of Dave Matthews Band. And so, like, just really kind of being in that whole ethos and that whole realm. And so many of my friends still, go on tour and do these different things. So when I heard that you had seen the Dead 150 times and you just had this whole mentality, like you got it a little further than like being a music lover. I think there is just that kind of like a little step further when you say that you've been on tour with a band and you've seen them that many times. And so I was really excited to hear not only your experiences, of course, but the correlation between the community, specifically like with the Grateful Dead. I mean, I think with jam bands specifically, but with the Grateful Dead and of course with the Tragically Hip, there's always been conversations we've had like on our Sunday evening jams, with the similarities. And you brought up a lot of different things, which were fantastic points in your conversation with Jamie. And his other guests that he had, Keith, had some great points too about tribute bands and stuff. So I was really interested to talk some more about like that whole thing too, because that's really fascinating to me. Um, but yeah, I was just really excited to hear more about like your experience with just being like in that whole jam band scene because I think it's also really a welcoming space um for people like us, for creatives, that aren't the musicians, that aren't that part of the whole thing.
Hmm.
There's just so many moving parts of what make that whole thing work. And so there are the photographers and there are the media people and there are the fans and there are all of these other different components of the greater machine that is the thing. And so I think that the jam band community is a fantastic place for people that want to do things like this to really be welcomed. I even saw that here in Buffalo when I was hanging flyers for the event. The places that were most like, you can totally hang a flyer here, was like the place I sent you the picture was Terrapin Station. That place has
Hmm.
been there since the 1970s, and you used to go and buy your concert tickets there and do whatever. And they were super jazzed to hang the flyer for our event. And it's just that ethos, that just mindset of the community. And of course, we want to put your event out there. Absolutely. It's music and it's a band from here. Absolutely. And just having that community vibe to everything is just, that's what my whole deal, my whole company is based off of. So
Hmm.
as soon as I heard that part about you, I was so excited. I was like, yes, let's talk about some, being on tour and all that fun stuff of lot life and all those mishaps and all those shenanigans. And I loved hearing about you talked about the envelopes, decorating the envelopes and sending them in
Oh
for
yeah, yeah.
ticket requests. And I was like, I have a book. Actually, it's packed away. I should have like grabbed it, but I'll dig it out and send you some photos. But it's a book of all the letters, and somebody had made a collection of all the envelopes over the years from the different
Oh, I
tours
have
and
that book,
everything.
the
Do
Grateful Dead
you?
one.
That's
Yeah, I have it.
amazing.
I'm just looking on my bookshelves right now, but it's in. I have two big
It's
bookshelves
like
here. It's in
Grateful
one of them.
Letters or something like
Yes,
that. I can't remember exactly, but I have, and then there's like some parts where it's like fun and you can like pull things out, but it's like the collection of all the different envelopes over the years. And it's just so fascinating that that's how
I used
people.
to do it.
Yes. And when you were talking about this on Jamie's podcast, I was like, oh my God, yes. See, that's all like bef before my time, but I know so many people that that's what they did. So when I heard you bring it up, it was, oh my God,
Those are all Grateful Dead ticket stubs.
that's amazing.
Yeah, I have them. I was looking for some other things, but I have all my tickets and photo passes and everything all put out by years. But all my Grateful Dead stuff is in one envelope. So there's New Year's Eve, 1988. Like they always had the best ticket stubs. Oh, and let's see the
Yes.
price on it. $30. Grateful Dead on New Year's Eve. Um,
And what year was that again?
that was 1988. Here's Oakland Coliseum, 89. I'm looking for the ticket price. Oh yeah, $20.
$20. But
Can you
look
see
at
that?
that
Yeah, Grateful Dead.
ticket stub.
Yeah. Oh, here's like these ones are always cool too. So you could buy the whole tour, $17.50. This is oh my God, it's another Oakland Coliseum. This is 87. But you could buy the whole tour through Grateful Dead uh, ticket sales. Oh, look at that New Year's Eve one. That one's cool.
Oh, that is really sick.
That's 1987, $25 for New Year's Eve. Okay, don't worry, I won't put you through this for much longer.
Oh my God. The prices are the part that is killing me.
I know it's gotten
You
absurd.
can't
There's
even
Las
see a cover
Vegas.
band for that.
I know. 2350 for the Grateful Dead in Santana.
Oh my
That
God.
one's good. Yeah, 23. That's at
I think if they did that tour
the
now, you
Silver
wouldn't
Bowl.
even get parking for that price.
No, I mean, obviously things have gone up in price, which is crazy on its own, but it's just gotten out of hand now, right?
It's
Yeah.
ridiculous. Did you
So,
see them at the Spirit?
no, I had tickets and I had tickets for you too as well. And I never ever made it to any of them. I sold my tickets because it just turned out those were nights I couldn't go because I have other obligations, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you
There's
haven't seen a show there yet?
no,
Yeah, me neither.
there's Jerry Garcia band for 1650. Poplar Creek, that's by you, isn't it?
1989.
Yeah, where's Poplar Creek? Maybe that's in Indiana. I don't know. I can't remember all the
I think
places
that
now, but
is in Indiana, actually. I could
yeah,
be
that
wrong,
might
though.
be
I'm terrible with geography, so I'm not really the right person to ask that question.
there. That one's close to you. Meadowlands.
Yep.
Is it? I don't think it's called Meadowlands anymore. But
I don't
anyway,
think it
I
is,
could look
but
through this. Yeah.
that's
But
amazing. I know. I was so excited when I heard about it. And then that really made me want to dive in even further with you because I always ask my guests where their love of music even started. Like, where did it all begin for you when you were young? What was the first music that really just was interesting to you?
well, I guess if you want to go to the very beginning, we go back to when I was a child, I guess, like mid-child, whatever. My mom used to have a collection of 45s, 7-inch singles or whatever. I probably still have them because I probably kept them. And I used to have this little kind of almost toy record player in my bedroom. And it was the Beatles, the Beach Boys. And my dad listened to a lot of the old school country music, like Merle Haggard and a lot of Johnny Cash. So there was always music in the house. But for sure, it was the Beatles and the Beach Boys. You know, that kind of poppier Beatles too, and the sing along Beach Boys stuff. So I'd dance around in my room. Um, so I guess that would be the very beginning. And all my uncles played guitar. And, you know, my dad had 5 or 6 brothers and 5 or 6 sisters, a huge
Big
Northern
family.
Canadian family.
Hmm.
And so we would go on these trips and they would play music around the campfire and everyone would play guitars and be singing along. So it was kind of built into me as a child, I guess. But my deeper, what I even refer to as an obsession with music kind of happened just we would always get Detroit radio because there was no rock station where I grew up. Uh, but we're an hour inside of Canada from Detroit, and so we'd get WRIF, WLLZ, in the late '70s, early '80s, because I'm going to be 58 in November. Uh, you would hear all that music and what they call classic rock now, but at the time it was just rock. And it would
Yeah.
be AC/DC and Led Zeppelin and Aerosmith and Black Sabbath and The Who, the Stones, the Beatles, all of
All the
that.
good shit.
Yeah. So I just had this obsession with it. That was all I ever wanted to do was listen to music. And when Walkmans came out, I guess that would be right when I was a teen or a young teen. All of a sudden, you could have music while you're riding your bicycle or whatever. So then I always had music. And we only had one little convenience store or variety store, or whatever you call it. And the money I would make, I got from collecting golf balls from the golf course. And then I'd go in at night, get the golf balls, and then I'd clean them up and I'd sell them back to the golfers. And I would take that money and I'd go buy magazines, music magazines from the convenience store, Hit Parader, Rolling Stone, Circus, Cream, all these late '70s, early '80s magazines. So it kind of just fed into that obsession. Uh, and then my friends started going to concerts earlier than me. So the Who and the Stones toured in '81, '82, Ozzy with Randy Rhoads. All my friends were allowed to go to those concerts, but I wasn't. My parents were a bit strict, and I kept bugging them. And so at this point, everyone had gone to a concert but me. Finally, in 1983, they said yes to me, and I saw Aerosmith at Pine Knob, which is outside of Detroit. That was
Yeah.
my very first concert. And then my second concert was Rush at Joe Louis Arena in Detroit. My
Nice.
third was Robert Plant. I think my fourth was Rush again in Toronto. So at this point, it just started.
Oh
We
yeah.
were once they opened the door, and to this day, I still get excited when the lights go out, just like that very first Aerosmith concert. As soon as it just goes, "Whoa," and the lights are dark,
Yeah.
and then the stage lights come on, I still get that same excitement. And that's, what is that, 40 something years ago. So all that obsession kind of started back then. And then, flipping through those magazines, and here's where the connection for the photography part came. I always would look at those magazines and think, who gets to do that job? That looks like a really cool job to photograph rock bands, right? But I was still too young to kind of compute that it was possible. But I remember looking at them and seeing the names like Mick Rock and Bob Gruen. Bob Gruen was the one that took the picture of Led Zeppelin in front of the airplane where Robert Plant's got his arms out and his shirt's open. And I always thought, who gets
Okay.
to go on an airplane with Led Zeppelin? How great is that?
Literally
And Led
that.
Zeppelin was my favorite band as a teenager. Um, and on any given day, I'll tell you, Led Zeppelin could be my favorite band. It could be the Grateful Dead. It could be the Cure. I kind of bounce around, but I was totally obsessed with Zeppelin as a teenager. Um, so that's kind of it. It like all just percolated and generated and perpetuated. Uh, just going to all those concerts and all through high school, everybody that played Detroit, we were going to. And then when we could get to Toronto, because Toronto was more of a 2.5 hour drive for us, but we would do it. But Detroit was an easy hour.
Hmm.
So, you know, I saw every time Rush came to Detroit for sure. Every time Aerosmith came, Robert
And
Plant
Detroit's a
solo
big
tours,
was a big music city.
huge.
Yeah.
Still is.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it is still for sure.
yeah.
It is. Yep.
And back then, Detroit was kind of dangerous too. And, now it's not so bad, at least as far as I know. So now I'm a little bit surprised my parents were letting me go at that age because I wouldn't want my 16-year-old driving there. And we were driving there at 16. Um, and I saw some wild stuff when I was a teenager, a
I
young
bet.
teenager in Detroit. Like, and I wouldn't want my kids doing it without me now.
I bet.
So anyway, uh, I could carry on, but that's kind of where it all started to happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Yeah, it depends how much further you want me to take it, but I can lead you right into the Grateful Dead, or I can go the other way into the photography part
We can
because it's
go,
kind
I
of a,
mean, we want to go both ways. So whichever way you're ready to go with it, because I'm definitely, intrigued how it all weaves together with exactly you picking up the camera and your whole story there and your journey and in just being an artist in that sense of it. But then of course, I want to find out how you found the Grateful Dead and drank the Kool-Aid and fell down the rabbit hole.
Mm. Well, the Dead part happened. So in 1984, they played Kingswood Music Theater, which is in um, where oh shit, what's it called? Canada's Wonderland. It's
Okay.
kind of like Darien Lake, but it's north of Toronto, just by about a half an hour.
Okay.
So the Grateful Dead played there in 1984, and one of my friends went, and he came back just raving about it. So I didn't go, and I really wish I would have, but I didn't. And in '84, they played Niagara Falls, New York, as well in '84. So a couple people I know, I went to those couple shows, and everyone was just going on and on about how amazing it was. I'd only heard one Dead album at that point, so I kind of peripherally was getting into it. Um, but I hadn't seen a concert yet. And then in 1986, they played in Buffalo, and they played on July 4th, Independence Day. So it's easy to remember. And they played with Tom Petty and Bob Dylan at Rich Stadium. And there was a bus trip out of London, Ontario. So we jumped on that bus and took it there. And at that point, so there's kind of two things that I can talk about here. Someone had given me an old Nikon camera. And I'd always heard, oh, the Grateful Dead are really relaxed about audio recording. And I thought, you know what? I'm just going to bring this camera along. I'll just see if I can bring a camera and give it a shot or whatever, right? And, this is long before they have all that airport security at concerts now. So I really just walked in discreetly. I didn't wave it around, but I had it probably tucked under a jacket or something. Got the camera in. And, but when we were driving the bus in there, I was looking out the windows and I could see all this. It was like a circus times 100. All these people and these signs and people selling stuff and T-shirts. And I just thought, what is going on? This is incredible. And when we finally got off the bus, I just, again, just looking around and kind of mesmerized by it all because I'd never seen anything like it. The
Mm-hmm.
concert was incredible. I still remember Tom Petty and I still remember him playing The Waiting. And I remember just how beautiful that moment was. And he said something, I wrote this down recently about Happy Independence Day. Are you feeling independent? And I remember him saying that. And I remember at the moment, like, it was almost one of these pivotal moments where you think, I'm feeling independent now. Now you mention it. And this is the point where I'm going to start expanding my horizons, right? And I think I was probably 19 or maybe 18 at the time. But it really was an eye opener thinking there's way more in this world than the world I'm living in that I need to start looking at. So, and then the Grateful Dead played, and they played Cold Rain and Snow and Jack Straw and all these really amazing songs that I knew, but I didn't know well. But seeing them live was a big eye opener.
For
When I
sure.
got home, I went and developed the film, which I still have, and there's a number of these photos in my book now. Um, and when I got home, when I brought the photos home, just looking at them was another pivotal moment because I thought, holy crap, I'm looking at pictures of an event that I was at that I made myself with a camera, and I'm not looking at someone else's photos, even though I still to this day enjoy other people's photos. But um, that was a big moment for me where I thought, wow, maybe this is possible or whatever. So then, I spent the next year obsessing over the Grateful Dead. I had one book on the Dead, which I still own, and I would look at those pictures and just think, oh man, someday I just want to do more. And then on June 30th, 1987, they played Kingswood again. And we went to that show. And I remember them playing Eyes of the World. They did a Scarlet Fire there. And again, it was just, holy crap, this is amazing. This music is so happy and fun and enlightening and not heavy. It's just
Mm-hmm.
joy, you know? And when we got out of that concert, I walked up to my two buddies because we got separated and I met them at the car. And I said, we got to do more of this. I have to do more of this. I need to see more. I need to. And my friend had just bought a new Mustang. So I guess it was a 87 Mustang because we're in 87. And he's like, well, I got this new car. Let's figure it out. And, this is way before computers. So I don't know how, somehow we knew that you got hold of Grateful Dead ticket sales. And so we ended up getting tickets for Salt Lake City. What's the mountain there? Park City. So they played at the base of the Park City ski mountain. And then we went to Tempe, Arizona, and we saw them in, I forget the name of that place, sorry. And then 2 nights at Calaveras County in California, and Santana and David Lindley opened. So for us, that was epic, especially because Santana was playing. And Jerry came out. No, Santana came out with Jerry, I think, with the Dead. And it just the whole thing. So now I'd seen 6 concerts. I was in California. We went to San Francisco. We went down to Haight-Ashbury. At this point, we were probably 19. So we're pretty young to be all the way out in California, just 3 pals in a car, all alone. And there was a lot of eye-opening experiences there. And I have it all documented because I used to keep a journal with a pen. And so I have all my journals still, and I have all of that in books that I've wrote so many stories about all these adventures.
That's amazing. That's incredible.
Yeah, I have them all in a bag. So I think there's probably a book in there someday, like a real book, because it's
Absolutely.
all, and I did so many other adventures. So, kind of flash forward a little bit here. After I got home, I guess I was 19 because my birthday's on November 3rd. And this is a bit of a heavy part, but so on November 3rd of 1987, I turned 20. On November 6th, my dad died.
Oh,
And so that was a really another pivotal moment because a lot had changed after that. And suddenly I felt like I didn't really have any rules. Um, you know, there's waste so much more, but there's no need to get into all that. But there was this just this suddenly I didn't have parents around because my mom wasn't around at the time either. So it was kind of just me and my brother. And at the time, I was studying mechanical engineering at college, and I was about to graduate. So I was in my 3rd year, and where I grew up, um, uh, there's oil refineries here. So it's kind of almost a given that you're going to work in the oil refineries. And my dad was a welder and a pipe fitter there, and he used to come home really tired and dirty, and he was a super hard worker. And I thought, okay, I'm going to be in the oil refineries, but I don't want to do what he does. I want to do something that's a little more clean. So I started studying mechanical engineering, which is essentially drafting. And so the whole plan was to go into the refineries and work as a mechanical engineer. And all that was on track to happen until this terrible moment happened in my life. And so I really, at that point, nearly lost all ability, but there was some really great people around me that kind of helped me through that moment to the point where I graduated. But sorry, to bring it back into something a little more happy, that New Year's Eve, the Grateful Dead were playing in Oakland, which is outside of San Francisco, and they were playing, I think it's 4 nights, including one on New Year's Eve. And I was telling my friend Dee Dee that I would love to go. But I didn't really think it was possible. And he's like, let's do it, man. Let's just go. And so we loaded up his van. None of us had any money at the time. And his van, it barely worked. But we were determined to drive all the way to California. We bought the tickets from Grateful Dead ticket sales. And 5 of us or 6 of us jumped in this van. We didn't have enough money to fix the heater, so we drove all the way across America with no heat. And we had 2 little Coleman camping stoves, propane stoves on fire in the van, in between the seats, trying to keep everyone warm. And we'd scrape the inside of the windows because it would frost in the windows. And there was 1 girl and I think 5 guys. And there was a bed in the back. and it was so damn cold that you would snuggle next to whoever. It didn't matter, guy or girl, but you always hoped that you were beside Kristen just because it was a little more comfortable to spoon. But you were spooning with anybody because it was so damn cold in the back of the van. And we drove 24 hours because we couldn't turn the van off because it might not start again. So we never turned the van off once. We drove 44 hours. It takes 44 hours to get there. And we drove the
So
whole
what
44
about when
hours.
you had to get gas?
We would leave the car running. We never turned it off one single time in 44 hours. And we did shift work. We just, you, after you drove, you got to go to the back to the bed. And then you would shift through your bed and then you would go to shotgun. Shotgun's job was to keep the driver awake. And we just do this cycle all the way until we got there. And oh shit, are you still there?
I'm here.
I, I just hit a cable. And so we went to see these four Grateful Dead concerts. So now I was further addicted to the Grateful Dead. And I still hadn't done a full tour at that point, but now spring tour was coming. And I said to my friend Dee Dee again, I'm like, let's go on spring tour. By that time, I graduated from mechanical engineering. So now I was fully in school. And we bought the entire tour off of Grateful Dead ticket sales. So that spring tour was my very first tour I ever did. And I think it was probably 16 shows or something. It started out in Hampton, Virginia. Is that right? Hampton, Virginia.
Yeah.
And then we ended up in Milwaukee, I think was the final show, or maybe one other one. But we did the whole thing. We were in Boston and Hartford and Worcester and um, Brendan Byrne. I was there a bunch of times. And it was the first time I went to New York City. I remember being at Brendan Byrne Arena and you could see the New York City skyline. And I was with some other deadhead and I'm like, someday I want to go to New York. He's like, it's not that far. Let's just go. So on the off night, we went to New York and we slept in the van on the street because we didn't have enough money for a hotel room. And that was the very, very first time I ever went to New York City. And ever since then, I've been also obsessed with New York, a whole other story.
I love it.
So then we finished the tour and then it was summer tour. And now I bought the summer tour. And in the summer, they would tour stadiums, right? In the winter,
Yeah.
it was hockey arenas. And then we went on the next fall tour. And then it just became this cycle every year. And I went to New Year's Eve, the New Year's Eve series or whatever you want to call it 5 times. So I went 5 years in a row out for New Year's. And I did Las Vegas. They would do a run there. And they always had great opening acts in Vegas. They would have one year it was Traffic, one year it was Santana, one year was Steve Miller, one year was Sting, and one year was Dave Matthews.
Yep.
So I went to all of those shows, and then I started going to Jerry Garcia concerts because once the Dead weren't touring, I needed more.
Yeah.
And I was in California a lot. I had these friends that lived at I think their address was 808 Haight. It was just a little bit away from Haight Ashbury. So I'd go stay at their house. And then we used to stay at the Cosmic House in Penn State by the university whenever we were around there. And I don't know, we had all these different friends and it just goes on. I could go on and on and on about it. And I ended up, I knew somebody who was connected to the Dead and she got me photo passes. So I maybe photographed the Grateful Dead 8 or 10 times or something like that, like with a press pass. And I still have all my ticket stubs and I still have all my t-shirts and I still have all the posters and, but that was kind of my jam band thing. I never went into, like I've seen Dave Matthews and I've seen String Cheese and all that and Fish and everything, but I kind of felt like after Jerry died in '95, I couldn't even listen to the Dead for 10 years. I literally did not listen to them for 10 years because I was so emotionally wrapped up in them that even the Tragical Hip, I never even started listening to Hip again until this past summer. So we're 9 or 8 years after Gore died.
Yeah.
I get so emotionally connected that I just can't. It's like an old girlfriend that you don't want to see. I couldn't listen to Grateful Dead for 10 years. I couldn't put it on. It just was too much. And same with the Hip. I only started listening to the Hip. I never even watched the movie or the the series until like a month ago. I just
Wow.
couldn't. I didn't want to be full of that crying headache.
Yeah.
uh,
Well, and I guess it makes
because
sense just kind of, especially considering your history is certainly very unique. And so that makes sense to me, where I stand, where it would be difficult for you, because of your relationship with the band and with Gord and everything. And so, it would be difficult for sure.
yeah,
Understandably. Understandably so.
yeah. I mean, I saw the hip about 150 times or more as well, and I think it's even more than a personal thing because I know anybody that saw the hip, whether it's once or 300 times, it's just music gets into you. There's something about it, and I have friends that don't like the hip, but I think always, and I have friends that don't like the Grateful Dead either. It's almost this weird music where once you're in, you're in. But if
Yeah.
you kind of listen to it and you don't really like it and you don't give it a chance, I think it's too maybe too weird or too complex for people to get in. The Grateful Dead, like if you just hear Dark Star or something, people are like, "What is this? I don't get it."
Right.
But once you're in, man, you're locked in and it's
You're
over.
in it. Yeah.
You're you can't help it. You're in.
Yep.
You know,
And then you have
I
a favorite
purposely
version from a favorite tour and a favorite
yes, yeah,
show, and you're like, yeah, but then there's
yeah,
this one from this time, and then it gets real serious.
yeah. So I think um, there's something there's I love Aerosmith and I love Rush and I love Led Zeppelin and Black Sabbath and everything, and there is an emotional connection, but there's a bigger emotional connection to these bands that I've seen more times because I have so many memories of whatever it is. It might even just be walking around in a particular arena at a particular show, and there's just more emotional investment with those two particular bands, the Dead and the Hip, for me.
Yeah.
And it's still hard not having that anymore and not being able to see them live. I've seen Dead and Company a bunch of times, and I've gone to see Bob Weir or whatever, but it's not the same. John Mayer is amazing, and I love it. Uh, but Jerry Garcia was one of a kind, and so was Gord Downie.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're you can't replace them. Not that anybody's trying, but for me, it's just different. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It,
You
it's
know.
it for sure. It's interesting to me too that, with that in mind, that the surviving members of the Dead have continued to do what they have done.
Hmm.
Bring other
Well, I
players in
wonder
there
if
and
they're setting it up.
successfully keep, the train rolling in a capacity, you
That's what
know?
I'm about to say too. I wonder if, like, even when Bob Weir's gone, will it carry on as Dead and Company? Because it isn't the Grateful Dead. They don't call it the Grateful Dead. It's just the music of the Dead, interpreted by other amazing players that live and breathe it as well. So maybe they could carry on for another 30 years once Bob's gone, even, right? And
Mm-hmm.
Mickey. So who knows? I don't know. It kind of feels like that's what they're doing, but I have no insider info on that. That's just speculation,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know.
It's
But
very
like a
interesting
band like
to see all these bands like that as these guys are getting older, and
mhm,
guys are passing away, and things are transforming and keeping that music alive. It's interesting to watch how bands have been able to do that in ways.
yeah, yep. And all the power to them, if people can carry on hearing great Grateful Dead music and in a concert capacity, well, that's good for younger people that didn't get to see Jerry when he was alive.
And it
Sometimes I
keeps that
forget.
community ethos alive though too. It comes back to
Yeah,
that. Is it's not just seeing the music, but it gives people that community. And I think especially now, it's important for people to have that community, and humans thrive on that, having that tribe of like-minded people that
yeah.
get it, whatever it is, like we
And
need it.
the world needs more love and more compassionate and empathetic people. And the one thing I always thought about the Grateful Dead, and I actually think another one of my favorite bands, which is really far off from what we're talking about, is The Cure. And I always thought of the Dead and the Cure as empathetic bands. They really, their music is just it's so caring, and it gets you somehow. There's this, we
Mhm.
have this connection directly to music, but that particular music connects back to you. And probably people could say that about other bands, but people often, sometimes The Cure's a bit of an odd one that people think, what, you love The Cure? And I really do. Um, and they say, what is it? And it's the empathy that their music has and the lyrics have. And the Grateful Dead had that as well, you know. Uh,
Absolutely.
and I know it's silly to even say, but there could be world peace if everybody just went to rock concerts all the time.
It's so
Because,
true though, because it's in those places. I mean, we both could share multiple stories, I'm sure, of situations where, you know, there's always one asshole. Um, but
yeah, it's true.
that's the the people at the shows, we always joke about it. It's, the girls in the bathroom are always so kind and, oh my God, girl, you look so great. And
Mm.
it's such a happy place to be. Everybody's just happy to be there and the music's great and you don't have to worry about your bullshit and it's just a wonderful time. And I agree. And it's good for you, like mentality wise. My daughter, um, so she loves One Direction. And one of the guys does this away from home festival. And I guess this was like the fifth year that he's done this. His name is Louis Tomlinson. And it
Yeah.
just so happened to be in Cooperstown, New York this year, which, like, even she said, and, she's on all the boards and the things and the whatevers. And when it was the rumor that it was going to be here, like even she said, she's like, Mom, this doesn't make any sense. It's like in the middle of nowhere of New York and whatever. And I'm like, well, my history of festivals, actually, that kind of does make sense, Marley. I'm like, that's probably where it's going to be. So I had reached out to the festivals to see if I could do some sort of promotion and get her a pass to go to the festival and do some coverage for the media company. So I had asked this a while ago. I was obviously going to be at the Toronto event. The festival was the same weekend, and her dad was going to take her. But we never heard anything from the festival. So I'm like, well, sometimes that happens, Marley.
Mm.
Sometimes you don't hear anything or you get denied or whatever. So we just kind of like proceeded on with everything. So the night before the event in Toronto, so Friday, last Friday night, I get an email from the festival and they're like, is your team available to come and cover the event? And I'm like, I don't know.
Oh,
And so I call her dad, I'm like, oh my God, can we do this? And he's like, well, no, I'm working now. And I'm like, well,
damn.
I can't do Saturday. I'm busy. So I look and I see, and the artist she wants to see mainly is on Sunday. So I'm like, okay. So I had left Toronto and came home and kind of, showered and figured life out for a second and grabbed her and then drove right to Cooperstown on.
Oh, you're a good mom.
And you know why though? Because she went up into this festival was so small, like she was totally fine. And she went up and she was all the way up to the barricade. And when she came back, she had a pocket full of confetti. She had bracelets all down
Mm.
her arms.
Yeah.
She was literally vibrating and she was looking at me and I'm like,
She gets it.
I was even now, I'm just like, this is why I did this drive for you.
Hmm.
Because like how else could I give her that? Like
Yeah.
I even now I'm just like that was it was so
Mm.
amazing. Like it was
Is
just
that
really
your 11 or
special.
14-year-old?
My 14-year-old.
14. Yeah, right
Yeah.
on.
So she
Well,
was
you
just like
probably
jazzed is how she was.
Yeah, you just put a memory that she's going to be telling when she's 50 years old or whatever. So good for you, and way to be an excellent mother, and be tired and shower and jump in the car and go somewhere else, you know?
My
Uh,
car had just so much mileage on it. I'm like, whatever. Like, this
mm,
is why we have these things, right? This is why we have a car. This is what we do, what I do. And, I was just really grateful that the media company, this company that I've built and all these things that I've done over the last couple years, like now it has the opportunity to do these things. And she actually gets
hmm
to write a little review of the concert that she wanted to see. And so that's really
Yeah,
cool too. So,
yeah.
but it was really special to have that moment because that is exactly what I've built all of this on, was exactly that thing that you experience when you're at that live show. Like you already talked about that feeling when the lights go down. And
hmm
there's just nothing like it in the world. And I was even like on the hill in the moment, just like thinking about her down there, like crying. I'm like, I know what this feels like. I don't even like this music, but this is so amazing right now. But it was cool to like experience her music too, because she's such a good
Yeah.
sport and really always goes to my stuff and puts up with my things. And so to get to experience what she likes and be like, all right, this is not a bad show. So that was cool too.
You probably just altered her trajectory in life with that one moment, right? And you just never know. It's those little, it's like an asteroid goes this way and then it just curves that way a little bit, and it could change everything in some other way. So, yeah, good for you. Yeah,
Yeah,
good for her.
it was
I get
exciting.
it.
Yeah,
I
it was
so
really
get it.
exciting. I was just like, oh, this
Yeah.
is so awesome. I love this so much for you. And just the therapeutic thing of it too. I'm like, she needed
hmm
that. She needed to jump in a crowd of people and scream, sing her favorite song. Like, she definitely needed to do that.
How
I
far
know
is
I feel
Cooperstown
better.
from your house?
What was that?
How far a drive? How far is it of a drive from where you live?
It was like a little under 4 hours.
Mm,
So it was,
yeah,
and
it's a
then
lot.
east, like it
Yeah,
was a trek.
yeah.
The drive home was the part that was honestly the hardest, just because I had been going for all the days leading up to the event and then the event. And like, so that was really like the culmination of everything and trying to drive home. So that was really the only part that was a lot, but
hmm Yeah, I
worth
hear
it.
you. Yeah,
Totally, totally worth it,
yeah, good.
because she just
Hmm.
had the best time ever. So, yeah,
Well,
that was amazing. Amazing.
um, April 30th, 1987, I saw you two on the Joshua Tree tour at the Pontiac Silverdome,
Ooh.
which is outside of Detroit as well. And it was one of those moments, maybe your daughter, like I remember standing right at the front, and I just did I spun around in a 360, and that's where I kind of thought, all these people are here for this music, right? And they
Mm-hmm.
opened up with Where the Streets Have No Name, so it has that kind of swelling keyboards, and then the guitar comes in, then Bono starts singing, and uh, that when you see everyone staring at the stage, which we see at every single concert, but that's where I keep thinking, this is world peace, man. This is, you have everybody in one building, and it might be 80,000 people, or it could be 20,000 people, but they're all there for one reason. And there's, yeah, you're right, there's always one jerk, but the 19,999 other people are there dancing, singing, crying, clapping, and it's that 90 minutes of pure joy, right?
Yeah.
Always. And it's what keeps me going back. And man, I've shot over 3,000 concerts now, and I've probably been to close to four. Uh, it still keeps me coming back. The only thing that's slowing me down these days is the damn price for tickets when
Ticket
I have to buy
prices.
tickets.
It's absolutely ridiculous, the ticket prices. And I'm just like, can I get like the artist Venmo? Can I just like directly deposit some money to the artist so that I know that the artist is getting paid for
Yeah,
the ticket?
Ticketmaster and Live Nation are taking a lot of it.
That would be wonderful, please.
Yeah, I went online to get Rush tickets today, and by the time I got through, they $1,900 and stuff like that. And it's no, I saw Rush for $20 or $100 or whatever, depending on the tour. But I can't pay $1,900. I'm not going to go in debt for a concert.
That's absolutely ridiculous. I'm just gonna do my best, and like if I'm supposed to be there, I'll be there. But
Yeah.
I would like to be there, universe, if you're listening.
Ugh.
Putting in an order for Richard and myself, please. We would like some Rush tickets. Thank you, universe.
Yeah, well, one of my buddies did say he got a pair and he's going to take me. We haven't figured out the logistics or the finances on that, but I don't think he got the $1,900. He said he got through really quickly. I just
Nice.
didn't get through quickly. I was like 30,000 in line or
That's
something.
lucky though that he got through. I mean, I can
Yeah.
only imagine what a fiasco is. I get the worst ticketing anxiety when it's time to get online. It's just everything starts to sweat. It's like a thing. It's a
I
serious.
kind of like those younger days where we had to go stand in line overnight.
You
Um,
had to be legit about it.
yeah.
You
Yeah.
had to hold your own and be real that you wanted to be at this show. You had to sleep outside. My mom talks about it. Record Theater was the big record store here in Buffalo, and everybody would wait outside, line up right on Main Street in Buffalo for concert tickets back in the
Yeah,
day.
I did it too. I did it in London, Ontario. I did it in Detroit when Deep Purple reunited in 85 or whatever. We stayed overnight in Detroit. And I remember, man, this is wild. As a 15, 16-year-old or whatever, there was some wild crap that was going on that night. And then when Pink Floyd did their first reunion, without Roger Waters, but I think it was in 87 or 88. I lived in London at the time and it was winter time and we were in lineup overnight and everyone someone brought a football and so everyone had their spot in line, but we went and played touch football in the park with everybody that was in line, and then when the touch football was over we all went back to our spots, no weirdness. And then when tickets went on sale we were all there to get tickets for Pink Floyd. And it was a dead of winter and we stayed out overnight. So yeah, I have lots of those ones. And you could legitimately get a front row or a second row ticket back
Yeah.
then because you put
Yep.
in the effort.
Yep.
And you would pay the same as everyone else paid because they never charged $3,000 for front row. You could get second row, front row for $20.
Yeah. Did you guys
Yeah,
ever do the
yeah.
handbills? They did handbills here. Did you guys ever have to do that? It was like after they stopped having people stay outside overnight. And so then they would do these handbill things and they would give a certain number of days and you would go to wherever your local ticketing place was and you would go and get a number. And then the day the tickets went on sale, everybody with their handbill would go and they would pick the number. And if the number was like 67, that's where they would start. So number 67 was actually number 1, and then they would go chronologically behind that. And so if you had your number was whatever, and then that's how they would line people up. So I
No,
remember they
I
did
don't
that
remember
for a
that.
while, like in the
Mm.
like late 90s, early 2000s. Because I remember like when I really started to buy concert tickets myself, we had to do those. And then it was like the internet. So it was like right before the internet ticketing really started. It was like that weird, and it sucked to get that
Mm-hmm.
handbill thing.
Sounds, yeah.
Like it was so stupid, but it was like this weird like thing when they weren't sure like how to do ticketing yet. It was like this weird like whatever, but yeah, used to have to do handbills and do like a
Mm.
lottery number thing. It was stupid. Yeah.
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 Well, it still probably is more fun than what you do now. Once I started working in the music industry, I had connections where I didn't get free tickets, but I didn't have to go through all the hassle. I could buy tickets through Clear Channel back then and Live Nation and record labels, whatever. I always had a connection to buy tickets, so I never had to go through the hassle. But I still had to pay normal price. I just didn't have to go through the hassle.
Just have to
And
deal
we'd
with the
always get,
hassle.
yeah, we'd get good seats, but um, yeah, I don't have those same connections for all the venues anymore. Still a couple things, but not like back when I lived in Toronto. Things were a little bit better as far as getting tickets. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Now I'm the house photographer at Fallsview. Maybe you know that.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. So I shot the Cult last night, which was really great. But I can purchase tickets for myself through them as well. So that's a good setup. But I don't have connections with all the other places like I used to.
Hmm.
Yeah.
How did you get that gig?
Oh, geez, that goes back. I've had it for 26 years now. That goes all the way back to me living solo in an apartment at the corner of Bloor and Spadina in Toronto. And uh, how many is 26 years ago? Maybe that brings us to 2000 or something. Oh, yeah, I guess
Yeah,
2000. That's
yeah.
easier math than I thought. A fax came through one morning. And I
A
remember the
fact.
fax machine going off, and I think I might have still been in bed. And I'm like, "Oh man, what's going on here?" And this fax came through, and I was reading it, and it was like, "Do you?" I forget the wording, but to paraphrase it, do you want to interview to be the photographer up at Casino Rama, which is an hour and a half north of Toronto, up in Aurelia? And I remember thinking, a casino photographer? I don't know. It doesn't sound that cool. And what kind of gigs do they get at a casino? Back then, I hadn't really heard about the casino circuit or anything. So I kind of was a bit negative about it. But I thought, you know what? You should always listen to every opportunity because you never know,
You never
right?
know.
You should hear everyone out. So I really was just hearing them out, but I didn't go there thinking it was going to be what it was. But I went up there prepared. This is before, big use of computers. So I had two slide projectors. Remember, you had that big slide thing that you would put all the slides in. So I made this little show, and I rented this little thing where you could dissolve the slides into each other. So one would come up, and then the next one would come up, and I put some music to it. So I went for the interview, and I had this presentation. I turned the lights off, and we're in this boardroom. And I had a bunch of bands at that point, whether it be Metallica, the Black Crowes, the Tragically Hip. So I had all these bands that I'd shot. And this, like I was saying, it was probably 1999 or 2000. Anyway, I ended up getting offered the job. And then they told me how much money I was going to make. And I thought, whoa, that pays really well. And then they said what bands were coming. And like the first band I was going to photograph was Faith Hill. And I'm not a huge country fan, but Faith Hill was massive at the time.
Yeah.
And then I think the second one was Ringo Starr. And then it was Dwight Yoakam and all these other rock bands, and then kind of like heritage acts or whatever you call them. And that first year, I probably shot 110 bands for them. I was incredibly busy, and we would do all these meet and greets. So suddenly, I was meeting a lot of these people, and I have that job till today. But I was at Rama for 7 years, and then the management from Rama moved over to Fallsview, and at some point they asked if I wanted to move casinos, and I didn't really care because I lived in Toronto, so it was about the same drive to both. But I went to look at the theater in Niagara Falls, and it was really nice compared to Rama's. Rama's is still good, but the theater in Fallsview was small. It was kind of like a Massey Hall kind of thing, but even newer. And I thought, oh, I'm going to come work here then. I'm going to take this job because it's so nice. And now I've been there for 18 years or something. And
Amazing.
yeah, I shot like 80 something shows for them last year. I'm probably over 60 this year so far. I got a lot still to go before December. It's a great job. And, it's a bit of a drive for me now because I'm 2.5 hours, 3 hours from there, depending on the drive. Uh, but I love it. I didn't get home until super late last night, but I came home and I photographed the cult and the death cult. And a couple weeks ago, I shot Young Blood, and that was a blast.
I
He had his
need to go
shirt off
see
within
him.
30 seconds.
I want to take Marley to go see him. I think she would really, really have a great time. And I just want to go see him anyways.
Well, that entire tour, he just announced another tour, and it sold out in minutes, literally minutes. The entire tour, every single show. He's
It's
just the
incredible.
biggest
I
thing.
mean, it's an incredible thing in rock and roll watching him
Yeah,
create his art. I mean, it really is. It's something that we definitely haven't seen in a long time,
yeah.
really. And so that's what it is it's exciting and refreshing for sure.
And now
So
he's connecting, you know, everyone knows about the Black Sabbath tribute. Now he did the song with Aerosmith, and man, there's some great harmonies on that. And it's got Steven Tyler back singing again, and Joe Perry's playing some really great guitar on it. So yeah, good for him. And he was so
absolutely.
fun to photograph,
I
you
bet.
know.
I
Like I said,
bet.
he had his shirt off in about 30 seconds, so he's photogenic, right? I got some really
Absolutely.
great shots, and in fact, like I was looking at my Instagram, and there's over 20,000. It's one of the biggest things I've ever had on Instagram. I'm just going to
Oh,
check
I
it right
don't
now.
doubt it. I don't doubt it one bit. So I have to ask though, on the other side of that, who's your least favorite artist that you've ever taken photographs of? I mean, I have to ask.
That's not a good one to answer because I don't really have a least favorite. I
No.
like everything. You know, my music does range from Madonna to Metallica, and you know, I was telling you, The Cure is one of my all-time favorite bands. So I've never really had any problems. There's this one story I tell once in a while. I did a photo shoot with Art Garfunkel, and I caught him in a bad mood. And we met. He played at Falls View 2 nights, and the very first night I got there, I just arrived early, and the person I was working with said, "Oh, Art wants to talk to you in his dressing room." And I said, "Okay, all right." So I, you know, went down to his dressing room, and we sat and had a chat. And he's like, and there's a gallery backstage of at least 100 of my photographs. And he said, "Oh, I've been looking at your photos. I really love your work. I want to know if you'll do a photo shoot with me or whatever." And I said, "Absolutely, no problem. I'd love to." And we exchanged phone numbers, and which is kind of cool because I don't always do that. And so I have Art Garfunkel in my phone, which is kind of funky.
I love
And
that.
so that night I photographed the concert because he was 2 nights, and he asked me to come back to his dressing room again that night. And so I went back there, and he said, "Richard, I could hear your camera clicking." This was before mirrorless. Some, you know, my DSLR, it was pretty clunky. And he's like, "I could hear your camera clicking, and I want you tomorrow night, I want you to be able to time it better so I don't hear this camera clicking all the time." And then he said, "Grab a seat." So I sat down in his dressing room, and he sang, he goes, "I'm going to sing for you right now, and I want you to listen to where the crescendos are in this song because I want you to pay attention tomorrow night and to shoot when the music gets louder." So he sang, and this is like the whole song, no exaggeration. He sang "Bridge Over Troubled Water" and "Sounds of Silence." Um, and I remember it was really awkward because I'm like, "Oh my God, Art Garfunkel is singing these massive songs just for me. There's no one else in the room but me." And I remember being uncomfortable thinking, where do you look when Art Garfunkel's singing to you? Do I look into his eyes? Do I look over here? Do I look over here? Like it was super uncomfortable. Where do you look when this monster of a singer is singing these, you know, landmark songs that are part of the 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 everyone's life, you know what I mean? Like they're big songs. And I was so that was the thing that was going in my head, not where the crescendos are. I know the songs, I could sing them. And I'm like, where do I look? And it was really awkward. So
That's
anyway,
totally, that would be me too.
the next night I loaded up my car with gear because now we wanted to do this photo shoot. And I got there early, I set up all the gear, and I brought one of my students as an assistant, a really great student. And we set up all the lights, we had all the stuff set up. But then Art said, "I don't want to do the shoot before the concert, I want to do it after." I said, "Okay, no problem, we're already set up, whatever." So we started doing the shoot afterwards, and he was in the most sour mood. And this is the guy that was calling me Richard backstage and texting me, and you know everything was. We were like buddies after a day, but he was in the most sour mood that night, and he was really mean to his manager, my assistant, like super mean to them, and then he was pretty curt with me as well. And he before the shoot started, he was in an okay mood, and he said, "You can photograph anything you want. Just take pictures and gather what you want." So there's this point where he was doing something, and I thought, "Oh, that's a great, you know, candid moment." And I took 2 frames, and he heard the camera again. I think the sound of the camera, and he's like, "Why did you take those pictures?" And I said, "They were really good looking pictures." And he's like, "You should have been waiting until I was ready or whatever." And I said, "Well, you told me to shoot whenever I wanted." And he just got like this look on him, and it was a terrifying look. And I could tell that he was super mad because I'd taken these pictures. I said, you know what, Art, the great thing about digital, I can delete those pictures. And he's like, well, come over here. And so we looked at the pictures. I deleted them right in front of him, and they were good pictures. So it's a shame that they were deleted. They were just candid moments that he wasn't posing for. So now I frustrated him further, and he was just in the worst mood. We managed to get through the shoot. I did get some good shots. And then the next day I was back home, and I had a meeting with my dean. I had to go visit my dean. And I was about to leave my office for the meeting, and my phone was going off. And I looked at my phone, and it was Art Garfunkel. And I shouldn't even tell this on camera, but everyone knows this story already. And I thought, no, I'm not taking his call right now because he's going to give me shit again. And I got to go to my dean, and I need to be in a good mood because I have a serious meeting with my dean. So I let it go to voicemail. I screened Art Garfunkel's message. And so I get over to my dean's office, and my dean is Yvonne Clark. And at the time, she was probably 10 years old, or she still is 10 years older than me. But so she's probably in her 60s or whatever. So I said, you know what? You want to hear something kind of interesting right now? I hadn't listened to the message yet. And she goes, yeah, what are you talking about? And I go, Art Garfunkel just called me. Do you want to listen to his message? I have no idea what he's going to say. And I told her the same story I just told you. And she goes, yeah, okay. So I put it on, speaker, and I still have the message. It was at least a 10-minute apology. And he just went on and on and on. And he felt terrible because honestly, he was the worst encounter I'd ever had in a photo shoot by far. And it's the only story I have of a bad time. But he sent me this, and I recorded it because it was just this amazing apology. And he really genuinely felt bad. And he said what I knew was going to happen. He's like, I was too tired to be doing a photo shoot that late. And he went on, he was saying he's Jewish, and he's like, it's the curse of the Jews, and I shouldn't have been awake so late. And anyway, it was this big, long apology. And so he kind of came full circle on it, and we got over it. But that was my only bad experience I've ever had.
Amazing.
Yeah, so there you go. And it was with one of the giants of rock and roll, right?
That's
Art
amazing.
Garfunkel.
But I love
And
that he came back around and owned his shit, though.
Yeah, but I really didn't know. I thought, oh my God, he's going to give it to me again. And I don't want to take that phone call.
It could have very, very easily have gone that way. So
Yeah.
Good on you for screening. But
Yeah.
now you have this iconic little memento of an apology. So
Yeah, who else has an apology recorded from Art Garfunkel? I mean, I don't know.
exactly. That's
Yeah,
iconic.
so we kiss and made up.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
But I don't have any other bad story. I've done some shoots with big names, and they've all been good and all really great moments. And even bands I photograph, some bands play at Fallsview that I don't know, or I'm not a fan of or whatever, but I still get that same feeling when the lights go out. It could be someone I don't even know, and I still get excited. I get excited because other people are excited. It's their favorite band.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm always forever, even I'm going to be 58 soon. Even at this older age, I'm still grateful, and realize that it's a bit of a gift that I've been given to be able to photograph all these different people over these years, right? And,
Absolutely.
I recognize that, and I know it's special, and I know it's unique, and I am legitimately aware and awake and grateful.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. Thank you so much for joining me for today's episode. Please be sure to leave a review of the show. It would mean so much to me, and it helps get this podcast into the ears of even more fellow music fans. If you're not already following the show on social media, find us on Facebook and Instagram at Dropped Among This Crowd Podcast, or check out datcmediacompany.com for more. Thank you again. I'll see you around these parts real soon. Mad love.